All right. Are you ready? Are you ready to face the? Are you ready to face the music?
I'm ready to face the music.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another podcast. This is episode 11. Last one was episode 10.
Wow, you went back and counted.
I thought it was eight or 9, but it was 10. We did 10 episodes.
That's a big deal.
And we are on Spotify now. Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
That's where it's at.
We're legit, George.
We are legit.
This is all.
Past 10.
I will take the credit for all of this because George has done absolutely nothing, mate.
Listen, just me being here.
He's graced us with his presence so
That's
far.
it. That's what
But we are on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, so just look us up, The Next Goal Wins Podcast. We will keep the video on YouTube, and eventually, if we get big, then we'll put the video up on Spotify.
Not if.
When?
When?
Well, the package for the video was more expensive, and I was like,
No, there's no need.
we ain't got that kind of cash flow yet.
There's no need for a video on Spotify because they can just watch on YouTube.
Yeah, but I watch some of the podcasts on Spotify that have video.
Why?
Why not? It depends on what you're doing. Like if I'm driving, I listen to the audio only, and I'm fine with that. But if I'm like yesterday, I was waiting at the airport, and I was just hanging out at the airport, so I put it on Spotify. I put some podcasts on Spotify that had video.
Well, you can do the same thing on
But
YouTube.
the thing is, we have it on YouTube.
Yeah.
And what we found from the last episode is I actually like the dual or the split screen.
Yeah, it looks good.
I
think it looks better actually. I don't know about
better because you can see both of the reactions.
Yeah.
I like that, and I think obviously the reason why we did it was because it's easier. Because before it was like I had to go back and switch between Georgie and me, whoever was talking after we recorded the podcast. So now I just split screen, upload it straight to YouTube. Podcasts come out much faster, much less work. Still looks
easy
good.
peasy. Put it on YouTube.
So I'm excited for this podcast, just as I've been excited for the last 10 podcasts, maybe the last like 6 or 7, because that's when the downfall started, George.
Well, the downfall started after the first game.
You said
7
out of 9 points.
Now it's possibly 6 out of 9. It won't even be 6 out of 9 at this point.
So
okay,
hold on. Let's start with the basic question that we have to ask every podcast. It's become a staple of this podcast. Are you worried?
I'm concerned.
Oh, he's concerned, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm very concerned. There's worried. There's concerned, and then there's just whatever. I'm very concerned actually because it's not about the fact that we lost. It's the performance. That was, I think, in the past 5 years. This season, we've had 2 or 3 performances where they've been like terrible, and there's subpar one of the worst ones I've seen on the Jurgen Klopp, and this one was like up there.
I feel like you've said that the last few performances though.
Well, not Nottingham Forest. We lost, but like we could have had 5, 6, 7 goals. Like we dominated that game. Like versus Leeds, we probably could have scored another goal or 2, but it was just bad. It was just like overall bad.
Here is the scary part: is one, you're closer to the relegation than you are to the top 4. Not even to the being the champion or to the first place. You're to the top 4. And the last 2 losses have come against teams that were in the relegation zone. Yeah. Thanks to you, Leeds is out of the relegation zone.
You're welcome, Leeds. No, it's
I think listen, again, I still don't think it's a Klopp issue. But I think it's going to start getting close to people are really going to start having that conversation because they're going to say he needs to do something about it.
A lot of people are already saying that.
You can only have so many games with the same excuse before they're like, okay, well, that's your job now. You got to do something about it.
Yeah. The way I look at it is, and I've got a lot of backlash from Liverpool fans or so-called Liverpool fans. Who knows what people are on Twitter, but I tweeted after the game. Obviously, I was frustrated, but I was just like, in Klopp I trust. Like, it is what it is. Like, this guy has transformed Liverpool from a top 10 team. Like, I was watching Liverpool when they were like fighting for 8th spot. I was watching them when they were under Roy Hodgson. Like that Liverpool team back then, if Liverpool lost 2 games in a row back then and they were performing the same way they are now, I'd be happy with that. So like obviously my expectations are a lot higher now just because we've been one of the best in the past 5 years. But again, it just comes back to it's just a crazy season. One thing I will say about Klopp last game though, we can't play a 4-3-3. Why is he playing Darwin Nunez on the wing? Darwin Nunez, I know he can play there, but
he's not a winger.
He's not a winger, and he's played him there 3 times this season.
Yeah,
and all 3 times we're playing the 4-3-3. Every time we play the 4-3-3, Liverpool have not done well. So I know we have a lot of injuries. I know there's all that stuff, and you can't play the 4-2-3-1 now because you don't have attackers anymore. But you either Darwin or Salah needs to be stretching the defense.
Yeah, but Salah's he's a winger.
Yeah, but like against Man City, we played him centrally, and he did really well. Like he caused problems. And again, is it a Klopp issue? Is it the players? Is it tactics? Is it not? Is it the injuries? Is it the mentally and being tired from the past few seasons? And is the same exact team that's all right, guys? You got to do it again and again and again. All those things I think are just coming to one, and then it's the season. So
listen, I got a text message. I'm gonna read it out from my friend who watches the podcast, Eddie. Shout out to my boy Eddie, and he's a Chelsea fan. Unfortunately,
I actually think did he just follow me?
Probably
on this. I think he does that
because he thinks it's funny that you lose the plot on every podcast. But anyway, he said this. He said, "It pains me to say this, and this is not regarding Liverpool just yet, but he said, it pains me to say this. If Arsenal goes into the World Cup break top of the league, they have a chance. Liverpool has the same chance as Newcastle to finish in the top 4. Next week will be a big one for Chelsea and Arsenal." And then he texted me a picture of a tweet from ESPN FC that said, "Bayern first in the Bundesliga, Liverpool 9th in the Premier League." And somebody tweeted at it saying, "When are we going to accept that Sadio Mane carried Liverpool and not Mo Salah?"
Okay, first and foremost,
your thoughts.
First and foremost, damn right, I've been a Mane over Salah fan all this time. And you called me out on it. You said, why would you not want Salah? He's scoring goals.
It's not that. It's the fact that you had something against Salah. It had nothing to do with Mane.
No,
I just didn't understand what your gripe was against Salah.
Besides last season or the past 2 seasons, Salah does not pass the ball. He's been selfish. He's not a team player.
He was your leading goal scorer.
He's leading goal scorer, but like all those other things that Mane brought to Liverpool, Salah never did. But now Salah is actually doing those things the past 2 seasons. So I'm like, fine with that. But I've been a Mane over Salah fan my whole entire
I know that.
time.
But that's not the question. The question is, when are you going to accept the fact that plays a huge part in where you're at right now?
It plays a part.
It plays a huge part, George.
It plays a part, but he's not the reason. Mane is not doing that way at Bayern Munich. If you look at the stats, it
doesn't matter what he's doing at Bayern Munich. All I'm saying is that what he gave you at Liverpool is something that you have not been able to replace or found an alternative to. Okay. And that's one of the main reasons why you're also in the position that you're in.
You can say the same thing about any one of the best players in the world, Mane, in the past few seasons. Lewandowski, Bayern Munich can't replicate that, but look, they're still on top just because.
Right, but that's the problem. Liverpool's not still on top. Liverpool's.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Bayern Munich, if you look at their transfers, they keep bringing in players in and out. Mm-hmm. Liverpool, okay, who's to say this? If Mane would have stayed at Liverpool and Liverpool are in the same exact position, we'd be like, wow, we should have sold Mane or Salah. We should have got rid of him. You don't know that. Yeah, but
it's easier to
talk about it now, of course.
No. What I'm saying is that it's easier to say it because you're so bad in the table. Like Bayern Munich, for example, they can lose as many players as they want because at the end of the day, they're always still going to be one of the. They're always still going to win. They're going to win the league. Yeah. And I know right now they're not at the top of the league, but still, like by the end of the season, it's not a fiasco for Bayern when they lose players and they bring new players in. Even goal scorers like Lewandowski. However, Sadio Mane's impact of leaving you have to find reasons why these things are going on, and so far the only valid reason you have is the injuries.
No.
Yes, because if you would have had all of your players healthy, if you had all your players healthy, maybe you're not in this position. But that's clearly the reason right now why you're saying we're not doing well and we're in this position.
One of the few reasons.
But that's the only valid reason, is what I'm saying. And I'm just saying, Sadio Mane, if he would be on the squad right now at Liverpool,
he would have helped. Of course,
you would not be in 9th, 11th place or something like that right now.
I don't even know what place, but don't get me wrong. Mane is
just admit it, George.
You
miss him. You miss him.
No, of course. That's what I'm saying though. Every team would miss Sadio Mane leaving. Like. Any team would miss Lewandowski leaving.
But what I'm saying though is it's not because he was a good striker. It's because of his relation to, or his impact and his relation to the system that you guys played. That was the reason why you guys were so effective. That's the thing. You're taking out a huge piece. It's not like, he was just a really good striker and scored a lot of goals. He was a huge piece of the way you played your system. Yeah. So now you take him out, and Klopp can't play the same system that he's been implementing at Liverpool since he got there, that he's been trying to implement.
But that's what we talked about in the summer when Mane left, and we said Klopp wants to go a different. Obviously, if Mane would have said I want to stay, he would have stayed. But I think Liverpool, you and Klopp had a choice. Do you pick Mane or do you pick Salah? Both expiring contracts. Which one are you going to renew? Because one or the other. You can't give both $300,000-$400,000. We're not Chelsea. We're not Manchester United to be able, or Man City to be able to afford that. But it was one or the other.
You should have.
Yeah, I mean, of course we should have. Like, I would take it. But FSG, the owners of Liverpool, don't work that way. They have a structure and whatever. But either way, I think it's if Mane does not look like the Mane at Liverpool, you can like at Bayern Munich. You can say it's because of the same exact reason why Liverpool and Salah and all these guys that have been playing for a long time are lacking now, because they've played so many games and they haven't had like a longer break. Mane got benched for a few games. He got rusty. He got like he doesn't have to play at Bayern Munich every single time, every single second, because there's other amazing players that can just come in and out. And the league is not as good. Like Bayern are always going to be at the top. When in the Premier League, every single game, especially now, like for Liverpool, in instance, like all those injuries, you like imagine you have Mane. Obviously, that's an amazing player that's going to play, and it's not injured. But what if Mane was at Liverpool and he was just as bad as like Trent or one of those guys that are like...
You'll never know.
Yeah, we'll never know. But that's what I'm saying, though. It's a lot easier to look at it now and say, oh, Mane. Like 3 weeks ago when we beat Manchester City, nobody talked about Mane. 4 weeks ago when we won.
That's the thing. Obviously, if you guys, let's say if you guys would be in second place right now and you guys are doing pretty well, or you're up there in the top 3 with Manchester City and Arsenal, of course, then people would say, well, we don't miss Mane, so nobody would be talking about him. But the fact that you guys are so low is why people are like, and like you said, it's the performances. The performances have been bad. And that's directly attributed to players who helped so much in that system before.
Also, another big thing for me is Liverpool got rid of not only Mane. I know Minamino wasn't a huge player, but he scored a lot of goals. I know
Minamino did not score a lot of goals.
He had like 7-8 goals last season. That's a lot of goals for somebody just playing out of nowhere.
Listen, don't. Minamino, you guys got rid of Minamino because he wasn't good enough.
No, Minamino had an amazing season last season.
If he had an amazing season, you would have kept him. He was a project that you guys were going to bring in for the long term that didn't work out, and that's why you eventually let him go.
Minamino had a good season last season. Don't.
Why'd you let him go?
Because he wanted first, like the same thing with Origi. He wanted to be starting.
Right, and he wasn't good enough to be starting.
And well, that's what I'm saying. Right. But you're getting rid of those 2 guys that can come off the bench and score goals, like Origi, clutch goals. A striker, can be in the box.
Origi was average.
He was average, but at Liverpool, he's like a legend because of all the last-second goals that he scored.
Well, he was at Liverpool for how many years?
Like 5 years.
Yeah. When you're there that long and you're coming off the bench, you're going to score a couple goals that are going to be game-winning goals.
But who does Liverpool have now coming off the bench that are scoring goals? Milner. That's what I'm saying.
You guys you guys have the young guys who are up and coming though.
Well, yeah, I mean we're in the same position as
Harvey
Arsenal. Harvey Elliott and Fabio Carvalho, they're up and coming, and Ramsey, he's just coming back from an injury. But like, you can't expect these guys to be coming in and like taking over the game. Like these are young guys.
You got to give them a little bit of time.
Yeah. Like I like them. Don't get me wrong.
Regardless. We finally gotten to the point where you are worried.
I'm concerned.
You're very concerned. You said very concerned.
Very concerned.
Very concerned. So it doesn't matter. Next week, you're going to be worried.
Yeah,
okay, so next week, you lose. Who do you play next? Let's find out.
Spurs.
Oh, yeah, it's Spurs, isn't it? And you're at Spurs, too. You're at Spurs. Let me double check to make sure that's right. But you're at Spurs, 11:30.
And we have Napoli tomorrow.
You tie or you lose against Spurs. Will you be worried? 1 point out of 6 so far in the 3 fixtures that you'd get, or 0 out of 6.
Yeah, I mean at that point,
you're worried. You're worried. The thing is, it's up to the board whether they're going to say this season, like not right now because it's still early, but let's say you do finish in 7th place, right, 6th or 7th place. Will the board say, okay, we're going to give Klopp one season like that? Yeah. Rebuild this next season we have to get results, or will they say we need a new manager at the end of the season?
Klopp is staying.
Liverpool's been good because they gave him 4 years to do it.
Yeah.
I think they're going to have those conversations because they're going to be worried because they're going to say, is this just a 1 season thing or is this going to continue? And if it starts continuing, I think if you guys end up, let's say 7th or 8th place, right, in the league, they'll keep Klopp. Mm-hmm. But when the next season starts, if in the first 5 games you guys aren't at the top, he's gone.
And he's going to have to rebuild because all these players...
But he's got players to rebuild right now. He's got those young players coming up. You give him 1 more season.
Yeah,
and then you buy 1 or 2 players.
He needs to buy... I think he needs 3 or 4 players.
But still, he has the tools. It's not a 3 or 4 year rebuild process.
No, I don't think it's a 3 or 4 year.
It's a 1 season. It's a 1 season rebuilding process.
Because It's tough, but I think they're gonna stick with him. I mean, I think this season is similar to what Man City had 3 years ago, when Liverpool ran away with the league, like 20 points or whatever it was, and Man City was like, all right, like forget the season.
You can't compare that because Manchester City, still finished second?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the only difference.
If Arsenal, or let's say if Arsenal ran away with the league, and Liverpool and Man City were tied for second, it would it wouldn't be a cause for panic. You'd be like, this season wasn't the best season for us, but we're okay. We'll be better next season.
The thing is that right now,
no Champions League football next season.
No, but
George.
like if you ask me, am I worried about or even concerned about Champions League? I'm not worried about that or concerned about that.
You should be.
I'm not at all. Like there's literally like no like I'm not thinking that we're not going to be in the Champions League at all. Like I'm not concerned about that. I'm just concerned with what I see.
Right.
Because it's been 3 out of like 10 games or whatever, 12 games in the Premier League that has been like really, really bad. Like some are bad, but like this last one was like, it's okay. It's fine to lose.
It hasn't been consistent at all. I mean, how do you guys beat Bournemouth 9-0, right?
Yeah.
At the second or third game weekend.
Yep.
And then you guys are losing to the 2 of the lowest placed teams in the league.
Right after we beat Man City.
Right after you beat Man City.
And Ajax.
I don't know.
So Liverpool are going to win the Champions League.
I would be worried.
That's what I'm saying right now.
If you win Champions League,
I'm not concerned at all.
and you get like 12th place in the league, does it matter?
No,
it doesn't matter. Champions League, you can argue, is more important than the Premier League, and I think it is.
And you qualify top 4.
I think
I think next season anyway.
Yeah, that's true. So it doesn't really matter. Anyway, finally, ladies and gentlemen, we've gotten to the point where Georgie's worried about Liverpool.
Concerned. I am concerned.
I do want to bring up one more topic regarding Liverpool before we move on, because I think we should bring it up. Darwin Nunez.
Oh, yeah. Good.
Good?
Yeah.
George? Good. Did he score?
He didn't score, no. He played in the wing.
Doesn't matter where he played, George. That's the thing. That's not...
You cannot... By the way, did you see the videos of him sprinting back?
I'm just saying, you're starting to compare him. You're starting to have the comparisons to Minamino.
No.
Or like a player like that. I'm just saying.
I'm going to walk off this podcast.
I'm saying, as far, not playing wise, but I'm saying impact wise in the time that they've been at Liverpool. Where Minamino was like, okay, that was a long-term project, or that was supposed to be long. Like, there was like, oh, this guy's pretty young. We'll bring him in. I think he's going to be good for us. Very, very good for us in the next few years. Didn't work out, and they sold him. I'm starting to think that Darwin Nunez is going to be like that.
Darwin Nunez has scored so many goals for Liverpool. It's not even like...
He just needs 5 years to settle in, huh?
No. You're... Okay, I keep telling you this. Jurgen Klopp would not play... If Jota was healthy and Diaz was healthy, Nunez would not be starting games. Nunez would not be... No player besides Van Dijk and Alisson, I guess you can say about him, but had just come into the team and started under Jurgen Klopp right away, no matter how much money you've bought, no matter what.
It's been a while now. He's been at the club for, 15 games at least?
Well, he's officially been a part of 12. Officially.
Right, but he's been at the club.
Yeah, and then the red card, so you're looking at 9 games.
Yeah, but the reason because he needs to teach them the system, he needs to let them ease into the whole process and stuff.
But like Fabinho, Andy Robertson, all these players that he brought in, they didn't play until like Christmas. Like late December.
I don't know.
I'm not even like if he plays through the middle, once like somebody comes from the left wing, like to be able to play there. If he plays through the middle, he's completely fine. His job, like when he played wide, he wasn't even anywhere near the box. He's the one taking players on, defending and all that. Like that's fine.
A fan.
I'm a huge fan.
We talked about it last time. I told you. Mitrovic. I think Mitrovic is second, by the way.
He has 7 goals, I think.
Hold on, let me look real quick. Oh, he's third. He's 1 goal behind. He's 1 goal behind Harry Kane, though.
He got a record.
Yeah, but still, he's got 9 goals. He's 1 goal behind Harry Kane. You're telling me Mitrovic is not a bigger impact than Darwin Nunez is?
At Fulham, maybe, because Fulham, like, it's
Fulham
different.
is crap.
No,
Fulham is not good.
They're not good.
For you to be able to score 9 goals, and against big teams too, because he did it against Liverpool. Sliced and diced Van Dijk. Don't ever forget that, George.
You're talking about a terrible Liverpool team.
I'm just saying.
He's not okay, first of all.
How many goals would Darwin Nunez have at Fulham?
Okay. That's completely irrelevant. Look, you're talking about time. Do you know how long he's been in Fulham? Do you know how long he's been in Fulham? like 5 years.
Yeah.
You're talking about, okay, but the fact is, they come up. This is the only year where he's had like a really good season. So you can't like, it's like okay, for example, let me think of someone that just had an amazing season, one season, and then that was it. You're comparing like apples to oranges. Like I've been a fan, and I told you this, I'm a fan of Mitrovic, but to say that he would have
every time
impact,
I bring up Mitrovic, you laugh like
I
it's
laugh
a joke.
because it's
like
not,
it's a joke.
Because
the guy is legit.
I've watched him for 5 years now.
The guy's legit.
He's really good at, like, he does the dirty work as well. He's a big guy. He like hold the play. Everything's good. He has the heart. He runs. Serbian, like, I love that. A lot of heart, like, whatever. He's like a bull. But to say that he's like...
At the beginning of this podcast, when we started talking about Mitrovic and Nunez and Haaland, you would have...
No. Okay, I'm going to stop.
I'm saying when we talked about those comparisons.
Okay, but I'm going to say something right now. Don't ever put Haaland, Nunez, and they add Mitrovic to the mix.
I'm just saying, no. When we started talking, right? We weren't comparing them.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, the comparisons were Darwin, Nunez, and Haaland.
Yeah.
And if I would have ever said anything about comparing Darwin Nunez to Mitrovic, you would have left the podcast.
And I'm still thinking about leaving the podcast.
And now it's not that bad. I think he's been a better player, Mitrovic. That's my honest opinion. He's been a better player. He's been more effective for a worse team. With worse players around him.
He's been at Fulham for years. They come up and down. He's used to all the, like, he's used to the system. He's used to the team. This is his home. Whatever.
Fulham is in 7th place.
Yeah.
So Liverpool's in 9th.
Yeah, so they're not even like as bad as like terrible as you made them seem.
I'm not saying terrible, but they don't have the same caliber of players that Liverpool.
Yeah, but
I can't name a single player at Fulham other than Mitrovic.
Okay, this is the difference though, and you know this.
On the American. No, is he American? Yeah, Tim Ream, right?
Tim Ream, yeah. But this is the difference. Fulham, when they play against teams, no other team sits back. Like, you know this. Like,
doesn't matter.
The styles change.
It does not matter. Yes. So Mitrovic is a better fit because of Fulham's playing style. But
he's not even a better fit. That's the thing. It's just he's having an amazing season. That's great. I like the guy.
Yeah. He's having a better season.
He's having an amazing season so far. But like, to compare, like, that's not even comparable.
It's a valid comparison. Moving on. Let's talk a little bit about my boys, Arsenal.
Are they going to win the league? Are you finally
London Invincibles, baby? London Invincibles,
guys,
baby.
He hasn't worn that hat in the past 10 years. Javi hasn't been an Arsenal fan for the past 10 years.
5-0 win.
Yeah, I mean,
over a team that beat you guys.
Are you guys going to win the league? How confident are you of winning the league now?
I am. I think it's going to be very close, but it's only going to be between Manchester City and Arsenal.
Let me give you some stats.
No other team comes in.
Let me give you some stats that I just saw on TikTok today.
Yeah. Go on.
The past 2 times, anybody.
By the way, last time you had stats from whatever TikTok or whatever, we realized that it was wrong when you said Gabriel Jesus had less goals.
I just said it like that, but right? The comparison, right. Like Gabriel Jesus was.
Okay, give me your fake TikTok stats. Go on.
Out of the past in the Premier League, since the Premier League was created, the only team to be up top on Christmas, I think, and have like this undefeated run and does everything well, has been Arsenal. And they didn't end up winning the league twice. So are you worried about that? Is the old Arsenal going to creep up? Because this happened before. Like 10 years ago, maybe. Mm-hmm. You guys were winning every game in the beginning of the first half of the season.
We weren't like this. It wasn't like this.
And then you guys choked it up. I remember.
It wasn't like this, though. It wasn't like this.
I mean, the style, the play, it feels different. But
I would like to see how many points we had going into that break, because I guarantee it wasn't as many as the ones we have right now. It was probably closer amongst the top 4. We were just a team on the top. Right now, we are 2 points ahead of Manchester City. Mm-hmm. We are, let me check. I think it was like 4 points. It was like 4 points ahead of, so 3rd place Tottenham. Yeah, so we're 5 points ahead of them with a game in hand. So we could be 8 points ahead.
Yeah. But you still have 2 games against Manchester City.
All I'm saying is the conversation has now shifted from, are we going to get top 4 to, are we going to win the Premier League, which has become a very, very valid conversation.
Yeah.
And I think we have a very good chance of doing it.
Yeah, I think you guys are playing.
Because we're playing so consistently.
Yeah, it's the play. It's not even about winning games. It's just how you guys are winning those games. Like how you guys are
The Manchester City games are going to be a big...
Yeah.
They're going to tell us. When we play Manchester United again, And I think we'll beat Tottenham again.
Do you want the key to stopping Manchester City? Because Liverpool beat them twice this season already. It's too easy.
What key? You guys don't have a single key. You guys are looking for keys right now.
We have the key to stopping Man City.
You guys need a bunch of keys right now to figure out what's wrong with you guys.
You guys need the blueprint.
Anyway, Arsenal, fantastic so far. And I think we can start talking on this podcast now in the future about their chances of winning the Premier League and what they need to do. Manchester City, there's not much to talk about Manchester City because they're always in the same position. They're always going to be one of the better teams.
I still
is Kevin De Bruyne the best Premier League midfielder of all time? And if not, who is? And I swear, George, if you say Stevie G, if you say Stevie G is better than Kevin De Bruyne,
Stevie G and KDB are in the same conversation.
Who's better?
They're in the same conversation. He needs to be done playing, then I can say.
Why does he need to be done playing?
Because Steven Gerrard's playing the Premier League his whole life. Like he's
right, but what the things that Kevin De Bruyne has done already and the things he consistently is doing, are they not better than what Stevie G was doing when he was playing?
I mean, that's very, very debatable. We had this conversation before.
I will tell you this.
The thing is, KDB was in the Premier League before. He was at Chelsea. Labeled as a flop. He didn't do well. Went to Werder Bremen. He was okay. Then he came to Man City. Rediscovered his form on the Pep, started doing a lot better. And now he's a player for the past 4 or 5 years, you can say. Steven Gerrard was regarded as one of the best since 2-3 years after he made his debut for Liverpool, up until pretty much when a year or two right before he left. So you're talking about 10, 12
but he wasn't
doing
the thing. He wasn't doing the things that Kevin De Bruyne is doing now.
What is he doing?
The guy has the best accuracy I've ever seen of any player.
Yeah, but okay, I can say Steven Gerrard is better defensively.
The vision that he has.
Yeah.
The vision that he has is unbelievable.
And I'm not saying he's not good. Obviously, he's one of the best. But Stevie G was one of the best midfielders of all time, and any player that's spoken about Steven Gerrard would say that too.
I agree with that. I think here's the thing about comparing players from a certain era to a different era is that if KDB was put in the era of Stevie G, I'm not sure he would be as effective because nowadays the shift to tactics is one that we talked about. There's been so much more tactical information that's given to players nowadays. The physical side of things, the fitness, the nutrition, all of that stuff is again something that back then they didn't have access to. I hate when people compare Pele and Maradona to Messi or Ronaldo because I think players back in the day, the soccer was so much less evolved than it is now. So I mean, it was terrible, really, back then. If you look at some of the videos, we've talked about the Netherlands and their high press, what they used to do. It was terrible soccer, terrible football. If you brought Kevin De Bruyne and Ronaldo and Messi back into those times, they wouldn't be as good as they are now. I think you have to compare how good the best players were in relation to the rest of the standard. So how good was Pele in comparison to the rest of the players that he was playing with? That's what's going to tell you how good of a player he was. So that's the same thing we did with Messi and Ronaldo. Is you compare how good Messi and Ronaldo are to the rest of his players, but you can't compare them to before because it's not the same because football has changed so much since then. So I think, let's say if you had Stevie G now, and Stevie G was playing in the Premier League now, with the access that he would have to a manager like Pep, with the fitness and nutrition, and it's changed a lot over the years, rehab, all of that stuff, would he be as good as KDB?
I think they're similar players, but they're different players. Stevie G was I would say he's better overall in every. If you put all those little stats, he ticks every single box. He's a more complete footballer than KDB. Where KDB I think he's more technical and he has more finesse to what he does. You're talking about bangers. They both scored a lot of goals. Both had assists. The assists that KDB has that are just world class. Steven Gerrard, he said some, but not obviously to the extent of that. And also, you got to think Steven Gerrard played with some really, really bad Liverpool teams. Ever since I've been a fan, Stevie G, I've watched obviously Steven Gerrard my whole entire life because I'm a Liverpool fan. But some of the players, if you look at pictures of starting lineups, you wouldn't be able to name 9 of those players out of the 11 because of how bad they are. And that can play a role in, okay, maybe that makes him stand out more. That's why he's a lot better. But when you play with better players, they elevate you as well. Like if you're that good of a player, they make you better.
Yeah,
like if you don't have a striker, Liverpool's striker at one point was Neil Mellor or something like that, and the guy scored 1 goal against Arsenal, and he was like a legend for that.
Yeah, but I think KDB is the reason why Manchester City's so good as well. It's not necessarily that he has better players around him, because he is the better player around that makes all of the other players look so good because of how easy he makes it look to play a ball with the outside of his foot into the box where somebody taps it in.
Okay, but let me ask you this then. We talked about this. KDB, it was either 2 years ago or 3 years ago, or both years. I know he had like injury problems. He sat out a lot of games, and Man City still won the league. Easy. Then similar thing happened. He was out for a while, and they still won the league. If you take Steven Gerrard out of those Liverpool teams, you're talking about like we were already top 8.
Yeah, but that I don't know if that has anything to do with the player itself.
But like, okay, KDB, if
KDB was on a shit team with shit players and you took him out, it would have a huge impact.
Yeah,
it's not his, but he's got better players around him just because that's what the team is. They have better players.
But that's what elevates him as well, because he is around like that many.
Right, but what I'm saying is, if Stevie G had back in that day had the best players in the Premier League playing with him, and he sat out, of course his impact of sitting out wouldn't be as great because they'd still win because they have better players. Yeah. So I think KDB. I mean, it's not he can't choose the players that are around him, and obviously you're going to want better players around you. I just think the guy's good, man, and if you judge him by his individual actions and the things he's doing during these games.
He's smart.
It is next level.
He is like
next level.
He's probably the smartest football. I mean, he's up there, but it's hard to compare. It's very hard. It
is hard to compare, especially from different eras. Even though it was just a 10-year difference or a 15-year difference. Yeah, it's still.
It's just like to be in that conversation is just like amazing. I mean, a few years ago we were talking about David Silva being one of the best ever, and now you're talking about KDB, one of the best ever.
What about your boy Graham Potter getting beat by his
that's insane.
His former team?
I told you I'm a Brian fan. Come on, Brian. Yeah, that was
Trossard.
What a baller.
He's going to Man City. He's going to Chelsea. He's going to Liverpool. He's going somewhere.
He's probably going to go with Chelsea.
Every time I've seen that guy play, especially against big teams.
Yeah, against Liverpool. What did he score? What, hat-trick?
He's a baller. I don't know if he scored a hat trick against Liverpool, but he
did score 1 or 2.
He's legit.
He's really
legit.
Good.
They have a good team.
Brighton are good, man. I mean,
was it a mistake?
Graham
Potter leaving?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go to Chelsea. I mean, you
gotta go. You gotta go to Chelsea.
You have to go, but it's Chelsea. So like, just knowing who Chelsea are. But like we said last podcast, maybe the new owner, he views that different. But I don't know. Just because it's Chelsea, kind of rubs me wrong. But it's a big team, so why not? Like it could come once in a lifetime where you're asked to go somewhere. What if Brandon went downhill and they're like, yeah, you know what?
Well, we'll see how long you last at Chelsea. But Brighton is legit. Yeah, Newcastle's legit as well.
To be honest, Brighton though, that's the first win in like 6 games. So
it's still good.
But I still like Brighton, yeah. Especially what I'm used to from Brighton. So yeah, Newcastle are doing amazing as well. Like everything's clicking. Eddie Howe's good, and the transfer they brought in good. And they got money to spend, man. They made that Champions League somehow. They're gonna be spending big all summer. Neymar coming to Newcastle.
Yeah, right. We've talked a lot about the Premier League on this podcast. The World Cup is coming up. Cup, we're a couple games away before everything begins. The favorites, I think a lot of people are talking about Brazil. I think a lot of people are talking about Argentina. I don't know about Argentina. I think they have good players. I don't know if they're good enough all around. That's been their biggest problem always, is like defensively they have a bunch of guys who are not good enough. And I think maybe the hype behind Argentina is because they want to get Messi his World Cup.
Yeah, but they've also played really well. Like you look at the past year or two, Argentina's finally becoming like a solid team where you can kind of say, okay, they're pretty good in a lot of positions or most positions. Yeah. But this is only recently. So obviously World Cup is different. You're putting a lot of pressure on all those guys, but
a lot of them have submitted like 55-man provisional rosters. A lot of teams.
So it's very hard to like judge on who's going to go. And obviously still injuries play a big part. And it's also weird how you're playing the Premier League on November, 12th or something like that? And then you're playing the World Cup a week later. That's it's just weird to me. You don't get preparation.
This one's going to be different. This one's going to be very, very different because it's going to throw everything off. But Brazil are one of the favorites. People are saying France as well. Typically, from history, the teams who have won the previous World Cups do not do very well in the next World Cup. If you had to guess right now, put your prediction on a team, who would you put it on right now?
Probably Brazil. I mean, just so many players to pick from, and they have good defenders. I want to say Portugal just because Ronaldo, but
Portugal is going to get out of the group stages.
Are they though? Isn't that the group of death? I haven't even.
Everyone's the group of death nowadays. I'm going to look it up, but
I mean, it's very hard because I have to be honest. I haven't really been involved in like national team football for.
It's hard because they don't play. You know what I mean? Like you see them play once every 3 years or once every 2 years for competitions, and then they go back to their team. So you can't really judge them because you don't know consistently how well they've been doing in the last few weeks or whatever. So it's just kind of like you basically are just looking at the players that they have,
the rosters,
and based on the rosters, that's who you're gonna.
Is this the last World Cup for Ronaldo and Messi?
Yes. Yeah, everybody knows that. If it's not the last World Cup, it's the last one that they have a chance of even being starter.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll pretty much be it. Because
if Messi decides, well, Ronaldo's older. Ronaldo's like a year or two older.
Yeah, 37 right now.
You really think Ronaldo's going to have any sort of impact in 4 years for Portugal? No. Ronaldo's a clear-cut one because you can think like he might want to play. He wouldn't surprise me if he stayed playing, and then they'll still give him a spot. But I don't think he would be effective at all. Messi, I feel like, won't be as effective, and he probably wouldn't want to be the guy that plays until he's 40 years old or whatever and trying to go into the World Cup. I think he knows, like, this is it. If this isn't... I wouldn't be surprised if he retires again from the national team after this World Cup.
Oh, I think he's going to retire.
Regardless if he wins or loses, especially if he wins. If he wins, you bow out, you say, I did it, I'm good. If you lose, then he says, I tried as best as I could, and I know that I'm not going to get the World Cup.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like...
Let's just do a quick breakdown here. Group A, Qatar, Ecuador, Senegal, and Netherlands. Relatively easier group.
Yeah.
Because the only real team there is Netherlands. Group B, England, Iran, USA, and Wales.
Oh, God.
You think it's going to be England, and then it's going to be between USA and Wales who progresses. Yeah. Group C, Argentina, Saudi Arabia, Mexico, and Poland.
Ooh.
So Argentina goes through,
Mexico,
and I think
Poland.
it's between Mexico or Poland.
Yeah.
Group D, France, Australia, Denmark, and Tunisia.
Denmark, France.
France and Denmark. Group E, Spain, Costa Rica, Germany, and Japan. So you got to think Spain and Germany. Yeah. But
those teams,
Costa Rica, it was like 2 World Cups ago where they finished top of their group in a group that had like Italy and like France or something crazy like that.
Even Japan is not bad. Like these teams, I mean, it would be interesting because Spain is like neither of those teams are like 100% been playing that well.
Yeah.
So
you got to think Spain because of the players they have to progress.
Yeah.
Germany as well, but I think obviously the easiest thing to say is Spain and Germany would go through. Group F, Belgium, Canada, Morocco, and Croatia. So you think Belgium, obviously because they're doing well or they've been one of the better teams lately with all the players that they have. I'm going to go with Canada. I think Canada beats Croatia and Morocco.
I want to count Croatia out, but man, that midfield is just...
Listen, Mexico smacked Croatia. Was it 2016?
But then Croatia...
No, sorry, not 2016. 2018?
But then Croatia went to the Euro final. So it's like...
Yeah, but I don't know. I can't remember if it was 2018 or 2014. But anyway, Croatia will be okay. Canada's playing very well. Really Canada has smacked everyone in the CONCACAF.
It depends if Alphonso Davies is...
It's not just Alphonso Davies. They have Alphonso Davies and they have a couple of other players who are legit now. Yeah. So I would go Belgium and Canada to progress. Group G, Brazil, Serbia, Switzerland, and Cameroon.
Oof, that's...
So Brazil for sure.
And then the other 3 are literally...
The other 3, I think...
Any of them can go.
I would go between Serbia and Switzerland. I don't think Cameroon goes through. But we'll see.
I mean, we're going to do this a week or a few days before the World Cup.
I'm just starting to think about it because it's a Group H, the last group: Portugal, Ghana, Uruguay, and Korea Republic.
Oh, Uruguay's in this.
So you would assume Portugal and Uruguay, but Ghana.
Darwin Nunez, baby, my boy Darwin.
Oh yeah.
I was hoping he's not in the World Cup.
Luis Suarez definitely isn't. He's definitely not coming back, is he?
Yeah, I think he is. I mean, he just played in a game for Uruguay and he assisted to Darwin.
Oh, well then. I just figured they'd probably have better players by now. But they're probably a little bit thin as well. All right, so based on those groups, honestly, it looks pretty straightforward as to who should progress from each of those groups. There's not, if you think about it, let's be honest, there's really no group of death. Everybody wants to say, "Oh, there's the group of death." There's really no group of death. A group of death would have to have two European powerhouses and like a South American powerhouse, but they don't.
Okay, but Senegal's pretty good.
Yeah, but that's not a group of death, though, George.
What group is Senegal in? What aren't they in the first one?
Senegal's in the first one with Qatar, Ecuador, and the Netherlands.
Yeah, so I think Netherlands and Senegal are going to go through.
You don't think Qatar is going to go through?
No.
Did you know that there's it's never happened where I don't know. I should double check, but I remember one of the last steps in the World Cup. Right? The hosting countries almost always make it out of the groups.
I just don't see Qatar making it. Now, fair enough. I've never watched Qatar, so I have no idea if they're good or now what the situation is.
Okay, so if we had to say five or six countries, who you think, if you had to, and they don't have to be in order, but you'd say France, Argentina, Brazil. Who else for you?
Just say Spain, just because of
Spain,
and then Belgium.
So no Portugal.
I want to say Portugal, but they barely made it to World Cup. But then again, they did that the year they won the Euro Cup. So I don't.
Yeah, but the Euros, they didn't even win a game in the Euros. They tied all of them and took them to penalties, and then they won in penalties.
And then they won the final.
Yeah, and then they won the final. But I think wasn't the final in extra time as well? Was it not an extra time?
No, I don't think so.
It was like the stat was like they haven't won a game and most of their games have gone to penalties or whatever.
I do want to say Portugal's in there just because
Portugal's not going to win the World Cup, George.
I don't know, man.
Ronaldo,
I cannot count Ronaldo out on anything. This guy is just unbelievable. So
yeah, but unfortunately, Portugal doesn't have enough around him. And that's the thing. Messi has enough around him.
Yeah, no, Messi has a way better team but Portugal have a decent team.
They have a decent team.
Like Diego Dallo, whatever, he's playing for Manchester United. He's doing really well now as a right back.
They don't have a World Cup winning team.
No, they don't. I don't think so.
And
Jota's out too. So yeah.
Yeah. We'll talk a little bit more about the World Cup as the World Cup approaches, but what about one more? What about the upset? Or what team do you think is the upset?
I'm gonna say Senegal.
You think? No, I'm talking. Well, okay, so upset as in like you. I mean, you're saying like Cinderella story.
Yeah.
All right, I'm talking about like what team disappoints you.
Oh,
what team is hyped going in and then doesn't get out of the group stage?
Ooh, doesn't get out the group stage.
France.
It could be France because but then
happened to Italy as well. I think it happened to Italy and it happened to one other team that won.
Germany or Spain. I just said Spain to be one of the favorites, but that group is pretty decent, and it has both of them in there. So I would say Spain.
And you think Senegal might do pretty well?
I like Senegal a lot.
We'll see. We'll find out.
Again, there's still like a few weeks to go, so if certain players get injured, it's like, all right, well, what can you do? But I don't know.
Back to.
By the way, it's funny when nobody's talking about England, like doing anything.
That is true.
I didn't.
Well, England's always been known to disappoint a little bit. Yeah. They've always. I think. Do you think they get to the quarters or the semis?
Honestly, with the players they have, they should get to the semis.
Every single World Cup, Euros, with the players that they have, England always has the best players on paper.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's necessarily that they're the best players. It's that they're most of them are playing in teams and in the league where everybody's watching, so they're more easily recognizable.
Yeah. That's what it is. Sadly,
but they do have good players. They have very, very good players, and they have a lot of depth. That's the crazy thing. Like, who are you going to put it in certain positions? There's like 3 of the best players in the Premier League in that position.
Pick your poison out of all of them. Yeah, I always if I'm a supporter. If I had to pick like 2 or 3 teams that I would say I support, it would be Brazil, because my boy Bobby.
Your boy Bobby.
And he might not even, I don't even know if he's going to, I mean, he has to go. But Brazil, England, and Portugal. Those are just like favorites. It's England just because there's a lot of players that I do like on the England team. Not necessarily that they would start or play, but they're like,
yeah,
like I just like them a lot. And then Portugal.
I don't like Brazil. I think they're good, but I don't know. I think Brazil's also been overhyped just because of the old Brazil.
This is Neymar's time.
Everybody, is it though?
This is it.
Is it Neymar's time now?
Because
it's not a year or two past his time.
I'm saying like this is the last time that he like this.
Right.
It's either now
this
or
is
never.
A chance.
Like he has a pretty solid Brazil team. Like everyone is pretty like overall the players on the whole, even the 50-man roster that they submitted. It's like you can be like, oh wow, okay, he can play. But if he's not gonna do it now, that's it. Like it's done. Especially with Messi and Ronaldo out, you're only looking at like the new generation. Like even Neymar is like getting older anyway, so he's not really the new generation anymore. But like you're looking at Mbappe stepping up for France, or you're looking at like who else would you even say is like the Mbappe? Like he's the only one that's like up and coming that you can say, oh, he's the next generation of Messi and Ronaldo.
Just crazy because he's already won the World Cup.
Yeah.
So he doesn't even have to. We don't even have to say like this is his chance. He's
done it. So it's like
crazy.
But I can't even like you see. You have Ronaldo and Messi, then you have Neymar a little bit behind them in age.
Yeah.
Who else is in that bracket? You talk about Mbappe,
right?
Like you can say Lewandowski is amazing, but like he's not.
He's like Ronaldo of Portugal. Yeah. I don't think he's gonna have enough anywhere around him. I'm gonna say England. My people to win the World Cup. I'm going to say England finally goes through with a whole tournament with good performances and wins. I'm going to say England. I'm going to say I don't know. That's a tough one. I'm going to say England.
Yeah.
I think you have to at some point you have to win with the players that you have to win.
Is Gareth Southgate a good enough manager?
That's the question, isn't it?
If Graham Potter would have taken that job and he had a year with friendlies and all that?
No. And I'll tell you why.
I think it would.
The managers almost don't matter when it comes to internationals. The managers don't matter because what are they like you said, they leave the team 1 week before they play like the first game. You know what I mean? Like you can't apply tactics. The reason why it worked for Spain those years that they were so dominant was because all of those Spain players were playing at either Barcelona, most of them were Barcelona, and then some Real Madrid. Mm-hmm. So you're playing, so it's basically Barcelona. So the coach is like, I don't have to do anything. I'm just telling the Barcelona players to play the way that Barcelona plays. Yeah. And then I'm bringing in the talent from Real Madrid. Yeah. And of course, we're going to be the best team in the world. The rest of the teams, when you're bringing people from all over the world with different playing styles and what they're, especially now, when you bring in a player, for example, from Liverpool, like Trent, and he's used to playing a very specific way at Liverpool, and he goes to England, can he play the exact same way that he plays at Liverpool with England, or does he have to adjust? And if he does play the same way, then somebody else who plays a different way has to adjust to that too. I just think that the tactics are very difficult. You just have to hope that you get as many healthy players as possible, and you try and simplify the tactics as much as you can to just get through each of those games.
I would agree for this World Cup. It's a lot more difficult just because of like the timing. But Gareth Southgate, with some of his like decisions that he's made,
right,
of like starting certain players, not playing others, like not even bringing certain players, it's like
it's more.
I mean, fair enough. Like it's the England national team, so you have a lot of players to pick from, and it's very, very tough to make those choices. But like, I don't know.
I think it's more about the little decisions that they make, as opposed to like the tactical stuff. I think it's more of like in this game, do you sub this guy in or do you sub that guy in? Those are the little decisions that they're going to be judged on whether they made a difference or not. I don't think it's going to be the overall tactical approach. I think it's going to be those little tiny decisions. It's like, why isn't this guy playing over this guy for this game?
Yeah. Or why is Harry Kane taking corner kicks?
Right.
And like it just
yeah. But just the national team manager job is tough because I feel like you can never really do well with a national team.
Yeah, and that's fair. I mean,
especially with a team like England, for example.
Yeah, you don't have time. Like,
if you win It wasn't because of you. It was because you have the best players in the world.
Yeah.
And if you lose, it's because of you, because you have the best players in the world and you didn't win.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very tough. Now let me ask you this. We talked about Ronaldo last week, about being the bad apple and all this.
Yep.
And there's a lot of players since then that came out and spoke in favor of Ronaldo. Paul Scholes. Gary Neville was one of the only ones who spoke against it. And then last game, I don't know if you saw it, it was Gary Neville, Luis Saha.
And Ronaldo didn't say hi to him,
He said hi, and just walked away. And Gary Neville was like, oh,
yeah,
okay.
I saw Jamie Carragher posted that.
Yeah. He did it to Jamie Carragher 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Ronaldo did for the same exact reason. And then Gary Neville pretty much started to agree with what Jamie said in the past week or so. And he did the same exact thing to Gary. But
they're pundits. They have to say these things. They have to say what their opinions are.
But anyway, Paul Scholes, in an interview, or at a broadcast somewhere, he agreed that he should have never done that. The manager should have never decided to put Ronaldo in the last 2-3 minutes. But
what did he have to say about the fact that he walked off?
Well, he didn't talk about the walking off. He talked about you disrespect a legend of the game. So it was Carlton Cole said the same thing. Paul Scholes, Roy Keane, they all say the same thing. Of you're winning the game, and you know you're going to win the game at this point. You do not put in your somebody with such a big ego and a legend of the game, and he's done so much. You don't put him in for a minute, because a lot of players look at that. Most players look at that as of like.
Are you talking about this is when he walked off, when they tried to put him in?
This one, he was about to put him in for the last minute of the game. He's like, I'm not whatever.
So you think Ronaldo wouldn't have walked off if he hadn't put him in? You don't think Ronaldo would have just gone down and been like, all right, I'm out?
I think he felt disrespected. And up until I saw the interviews to all those guys talking about it, I didn't really think about it like that. But a lot of players obviously look at that as like, what the hell? Wow, you're not putting me to play. You're putting me just to waste time. I'm not really playing. You're just whatever. You don't. And this is what Paul Scholes said. You need to know how to deal with the players that you have as a manager. Sir Alex would have never done that to Ronaldo or anybody else that had a bigger ego. The reason is you're already winning the game. You know you're going to win the game. You're putting them in just to waste a minute or two. Put a younger player in. Give a kid their debut. Give a player that's not usually going to play that much, let him play a little bit. Why are you putting, it's like an insult pretty much to put Ronaldo in and say, look, I'm the manager, I'm the boss, I'm putting you in, and it's just like an insult to the guy. So I'm not saying it's okay for him to walk off, but now I'm starting to realize all these players are speaking for Ronaldo. It's it is kind of an insult to put one legend of the game, legend of the club, and a guy who you pretty much have a beef with. You guys are not on good terms, and you already have the history of not going on good terms. So
here's my thoughts on that. First of all, these guys, Paul Scholes, Roy Keane, those two guys are. I have no idea why they became pundits, because they look like the type of guys who would never be pundits, because they're old school. They're super old school.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of guys that they are upset about everything. Have you ever heard Paul Scholes or Roy Keane say anything nice about anyone?
But
absolutely not.
Roy Keane is
absolutely not.
He's
so old school. That guy's way outdated. He's out of touch. He's out of touch with reality in modern times.
But Carlton Cole, Jamie Redknapp, these guys,
But here's the thing: would they be saying this if Sir Alex Ferguson was still the manager?
Well, they're saying Sir Alex would have never done this because he knew how to deal with the players around him.
The problem is, and maybe it wouldn't have happened with Sir Alex Ferguson, but I'm just saying, Sir Alex Ferguson even said, no player is bigger than the club. Ronaldo thought he was bigger than the club. And maybe he feels like it because the club hasn't been as great as it used to be. But I think the fact that those players are sticking up for Ronaldo for doing that.
Not for doing that. It's just they're saying it's like an insult to the guy. Why not put
if it is, that's fine. He needs to go and have a conversation like an adult with Ten Hag and say, look, I felt very disrespected in that moment. He doesn't need to act like a child about it. And now all of the eyes shift from the team and their performance to Ronaldo. Nobody was talking about the fact that they won. Everybody was talking about Ronaldo. I think those guys are outdated with their.
It looks like it's fine because he played the last game. So
that's why I told you as well. Ten Hag has managed that situation perfectly.
Yeah, I mean,
he's managed that situation perfectly, and now he's gotten Ronaldo back on board.
I mean, Ronaldo wants to play, so I think Ronaldo is willing to put his ego aside. Like, you know what? Forget you. I'll play because I want to play.
I guarantee he had a conversation with him, and we talked about this. Like, did he have a conversation? I guarantee he had a conversation with him and said, like, look, this is my perspective on things, and this is why I feel like you were wrong or whatever. And Ronaldo came back after and said, I'm like committed. I'm ready to be back on the team and to help Manchester United in the best way I can. Yeah. And Ten Hag's like, okay. I think the thing is, people are always on two completely different sides, and nobody's like in that gray area in the middle. So people are like, okay, either Ronaldo's off the team and you don't play him anymore, or Ronaldo did nothing wrong and he should be starting every single game. Ten Hag was like, look, there was a consequence to his action, there was a punishment, and just because it happened doesn't mean that I have to be an asshole to him anymore and like continue to keep him out. He's like, no, he served his punishment, he did his time, he comes back with us, and I think it's a good game for him to start and play. And now he's been playing and starting. Yeah.
And now his new celebration.
And his new celebration around the world.
And now everyone is literally doing it. Yeah.
I don't get why people are saying that Ten Hag has not managed the situation well. I think he's managed it fantastically, and I think you can't have both things. Like where people say you can't have your cake and eat it too. Like he has imposed his authority as the manager of the club, and on top of that, he has not pushed the legend away of the club. Mm-hmm. He's done both things well.
I mean, we're going to see.
They're doing well. They're doing well.
Yeah, they're doing well.
But it is crazy. It is crazy to think about. Like now you see Manchester United in like 4th or 5th place.
Yeah.
And you're saying they're doing well. And Mourinho finished in second place. Yeah. And they said it was it was a terrible season. Well, what a joke.
Well, Mourinho came out, what was it, like a year or two later, and said that was the biggest accomplishment of me finishing second with Manchester United. And people are not going to...
I mean, he gave them the stats and everything, too. Yeah. He showed them the stats.
Yeah. And it's funny because, I mean, Mourinho's a legend. What a guy.
I am Jose Mourinho. What a legend that guy is, huh?
Yeah. I think he's like one of my favorite managers of all time. Just because
Brittany
of
loves
his character.
Brittany loves him. Yeah, she thinks he's great. After we watched the Tottenham documentary, she that like every time she sees him, she's like, "Oh, that's the guy from the documentary. I love that guy."
Well, I mean, I like him a lot. I know a lot of people.
Will he get a big job somewhere, or is he done? You think he's done?
I think he's done. Yeah.
I think Roma, and then from there, either he retires or he goes somewhere smaller again.
Yeah, it's gonna be like one of those like not contenders in the league.
He's still young, like not young. But he's not. He's definitely not like Sir Alex Ferguson was when he retired or anything. He's not like Arsene Wenger either. Yeah. Like I wouldn't be surprised if a Premier League team brings him back.
No. I think he would be back in the Premier League at some point. But I think it's gonna be like a Newcastle, like
Everton,
and Everton's
West Ham.
Is it one of those teams where they're like 6th or 7th, and they're like,
take the chance.
Take a chance. Why not? And then you bring in a lot of money. Like that guy's gonna fill the seats on his own. Yeah. That people are gonna watch him just for the sake of that. Yeah, I don't know. I hope he comes to the Premier League because that would be Pep, Klopp, Conte, Mourinho, Ten Hag. Arteta.
Either way, we've established that Arsenal is winning the Premier League this season.
You have a 1% chance so far. Yeah,
1%. I think it's a little higher than 1%.
No, you guys are doing
I'd like
amazing.
To see the odds.
But Saka's injured now, so.
Yeah, but they don't know how. They don't know what the.
You better hope it's not. You better hope it's not like
with the World Cup coming up.
Yeah,
England better hope it's not.
Yeah, no, that's better for you if he misses out. It would suck for him, but it's better for you personally as a club to just let him chill and relax.
Maybe there's arguments to both sides of that because you also don't want someone sitting out for so long. That's the problem. That's the problem that happened with, was it Liverpool or one of the teams that sat out for like 2 weeks before a big final, and then it's like, you don't know, like the inactivity also plays a part in whether your fitness levels are good or bad. I don't know, but Arsenal's doing fantastic. Tottenham, Chelsea, always still there.
I'm just going to say this.
Always still there.
I think we should stop the podcast because every time we have this podcast, Liverpool lose on the weekend. When we don't have the podcast, Liverpool win.
So we've been pretty consistent then.
So we've been very consistent of Liverpool doing crap. So this is it. 11th episode.
Next week you will be worried. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Those are the only two because nobody listens to podcasts anywhere else, right? Nobody, definitely not. So those are the only two we have right now. Plus the YouTube, we'll keep posting the videos up on the YouTube, but and then just follow us on the social media, Instagram and Twitter at the NGW Podcast. Yeah,
that's it.
That's it for this one.
And now,
Georgie will be worried. Next.
I am just concerned, people. I'm just concerned.
Just put a little drop a little prayers for Georgie in the comments or something like that.
The biggest question is: are Liverpool going to get relegated?
And they're closer to getting relegated than they are to.
Can you imagine
League
if
football.
Liverpool get relegated?
They're not going to get relegated.
I'm going to be a Brighton fan.
They're in 9th place.
We're winning the Premier League, man. I'm telling you.
They're not getting relegated, but they should, the way that they've been playing. Anyway, we've also established my closing thoughts that Mitrovic is a better striker than Darwin Nunez.
That's why this podcast is going to get.
And I will be getting a Mitrovic jersey.
You will not get a Mitrovic.
I'm going to get a Mitrovic jersey.
I don't even think they sell Mitrovic jerseys.
They're kind of hard to find. I'm not going to lie. I looked. I looked already. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for following along. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace.